Let's talk about solving absolute value equations. The first thing we have to do when we're solving absolute value equations is to look on the sign with the absolute value signs and see if there's anything outside of the absolute value signs. In this case, you have the 3 and the -2 or the -2 outside of the absolute value sign. So before we do anything, we have to get rid of those numbers outside of the absolute value signs that are on the same side of the equal sign. So the first thing we're going to do, just like when we're solving equations, we're going to get rid of what I call the lonely guy, the guy that's not with the variable, not with the absolute value signs, just kind of sitting out there by himself, and it's a +3, and to get rid of a +3, I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. And you'll see that this will zero out, which is what I want, and I'm left with -2, absolute value 4x minus 2 equals -8. When I look, I still see that there's a -2 on the same side of the absolute value signs on the outside. So to get rid of that, I have to do the opposite of what it's doing to the absolute value. In this case, it's multiplying by the absolute value sign. I'm not going to distribute inside. I'm going to divide both sides by -2. And that will cancel this out over here, and I'll be left with the absolute value of 4x minus 2 equals +4. When I get to this step, now you can see that I have the absolute value signs by themselves on one side of the equal sign and a positive number on the other side. When there's a positive number, that means there's going to be 2 solutions. Let's say I had 4x minus 2, and over here it's a negative number. Absolute value of anything will never be a negative number, so we're going to call that a no solution. And if the number over here was 0, there'll be 1 solution. So if it's a positive number, there's going to be 2 solutions. A negative number, there's no solutions. And 0, there'll be 1 solution. So we're going to take this part, now that we've gotten the absolute value signs by themselves, 4x minus 2 equals 4. We're going to take that, and now we're going to solve. So anytime we do this, we have to set up 2 separate equations. The first one will look exactly like what's there if you just take away the absolute value sign. So 4x minus 2 equals 4. And on the other side, we have 4x minus 2. And it's going to be equal to -4, because if you think about it, what's inside here, the absolute value of -4 could also be equal to 4. So now we're just going to solve this just like we would solve any other equation. So I'm going to get rid of the -2 by adding it to both sides. And it will zero out, and I'm left with 4x equals 6. And on this side it zeroes out, and I'm left with 4x equals -2. And my next step, let's make a different color. Let's go with orange. Okay, my next step, I have to get rid of the 4 since it's multiplying by the x. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And I'll do that over here as well. And I get the x alone. I have x equals 6/4, and you can simplify 6/4 by dividing both sides by 2, and you're going to get 3/2. On the other side, we have -2/4, and if I simplify that, it's going to be -1/2. So I have 2 different solutions to the same problem. Remember, if this number here is a negative number and there's no numbers outside of the absolute value signs, it's going to be a no solution. Okay, but if it's a positive number and there are no numbers on the outside of this absolute value sign, you're going to have 2 solutions for an absolute value problem. That's how we solve this.